And now we pass the ball and we take a look. When you pass the ball, attack them. You have to score the goals, guys.
Has Pep Guardiola secretly ruined football? Some say he's a tactical genius, revolutionizing the sport forever. Others claim he's stripped football of its soul, turning players into robotic chess pieces. But what if I told you the truth is even more shocking? Stick around, because once you see what's really happening behind the scenes, you'll never look at football the same way again. Pep Guardiola is often hailed as a revolutionary figure in football, an unparalleled strategist, a record setter, and to many, a true mastermind. His philosophy has reshaped the sport, turning it into a fluid and methodical art form. However, not everyone shares this perspective. While his impact on the game is undeniable, critics argue that Guardiola has stripped football of its spontaneity, making it overly structured, predictable, and monotonous. His tactical dominance has divided opinions, with some believing his influence has led to a decline in football's diversity. But is that really the case? One of the most profound explanations of Guardiola's approach comes directly from him, captured in a grainy clip from his early coaching days. In it, he states, "Football is about rationally occupying space and moving the ball to the space." This seemingly simple statement encapsulates a vast portion of modern football tactics. Let's break it down, starting with the idea of rationally occupying space. This concept traces its roots back to the Dutch school of football, pioneered by Rinus Michels, who coached the Netherlands in the 1970s. His disciple, Johan Cruyff, embodied these principles, while Louis van Gaal later formalized them at Barcelona. On the surface, Dutch football appeared artistic and expressive, but beneath the elegance lay a meticulously structured system. Cruyff, in his autobiography, emphasized that beyond technical ability, football is fundamentally about positioning and spatial awareness. He believed that optimal positioning created the best conditions for maintaining possession. Cruyff had a particular obsession with players forming triangles, ensuring that a teammate always had at least two passing options. As the ball moved and pressure was applied, players would subtly adjust their positioning to maintain these passing lanes. He famously stated, "In possession, 11 men must be in constant motion, fine-tuning distances. It's not about how much you run, but where you run." This philosophy ensured uninterrupted ball circulation. Guardiola was deeply influenced by these teachings as a key figure in Cruyff's dream team at Barcelona. Over time, he refined these ideas, drawing inspiration from figures like Van Gaal, who entrusted him with the captaincy and the tactical brilliance of Arrigo Sacchi's AC Milan. Unlike Cruyff, who emphasized forming passing triangles dynamically, Guardiola took it a step further by embedding these structures into his team's formation itself. His teams operate within a network, with players maintaining specific distances to preserve passing lanes. This is what Guardiola refers to as rationally occupying space, structuring the pitch in a way that ensures players are never too far or too close, always retaining passing options. This principle also plays a defensive role. By maintaining structured spacing, players are always positioned to apply immediate pressure upon losing possession, making it difficult for opponents to transition effectively. With the foundation set, we can now examine the second part of Guardiola's statement, moving the ball to the space. At its core, this principle is as straightforward as it sounds. Guardiola's approach revolves around precision passing as the most efficient way to navigate the pitch. Instead of dribbling across long distances or making erratic movements toward the ball, his philosophy dictates that the ball should travel through a carefully constructed sequence of passes until it reaches the intended destination. This means that if a player, such as a winger, finds themselves distant from the ball, they shouldn't instinctively move toward it. Instead, the ball is expected to reach them naturally within the pre-established structure. The focus remains on holding positional discipline and allowing the ball to dictate movement, rather than the other way around. Technically, Guardiola's style requires an extraordinary level of precision. His players are trained to master intricate passing techniques, such as weighting the pass correctly, positioning their bodies efficiently when receiving the ball, and maintaining an expansive view of the pitch to identify open spaces. This tactical rigor leads to a highly synchronized style of play, often described as a hive mind in action, each player contributing to an intricate web of movement designed to manipulate opponents and exploit openings. This methodology forms the foundation of what Guardiola calls positional play, a philosophy known in Spain as juego de posición. Through Guardiola's overwhelming success, this style has spread far and wide, influencing a new generation of coaches. Figures like Mikel Arteta, Enzo Maresca, Vincent Kompany, and Xabi Alonso have all trained under Guardiola and are now leading top European clubs, incorporating elements of his philosophy into their own tactical systems. For consecutive seasons, Manchester City has consistently dominated possession, showcasing the most methodical and patient build-up play in the Premier League. If that's the case, then how can Guardiola be accused of making football monotonous when, statistically, not every team follows his blueprint? The answer wasn't immediately obvious, but after much analysis, I arrived at a simple realization. Coaches worldwide have indeed drawn inspiration from Guardiola, but they haven't replicated his entire philosophy. Instead, they've selectively borrowed certain elements, with one particular aspect becoming nearly universal. Once you recognize it, it becomes impossible to ignore. Consider this goal from the 2018-2019 season when Guardiola's City faced Southampton. At first glance, it appears to be a well-worked team goal, but dissecting its build-up reveals something deeper. Southampton opted for zonal defending, with their backline maintaining a rigid shape rather than closely marking individual opponents. However, their execution was flawed, leaving a significant gap in midfield. City, true to Guardiola's principles, exploited this weakness with clinical precision. Notice how City's players maintained their positional structure, spreading 5 attackers across the front line. This setup ensured that when a gap in the defensive block emerged, the players were already positioned to receive the ball and capitalize on it. They weren't aimlessly roaming into spaces. Rather, they were disciplined in their positioning, adhering to Guardiola's core tenets, occupying space rationally and moving the ball to the open space. More importantly, once City breached Southampton's midfield lines, they immediately gained a numerical advantage. With Southampton defending in a compact 4-man line and City maintaining 5 players up front, Raheem Sterling found himself unmarked, allowing him to drive into the heart of the defense. The goal materialized not just through technical brilliance, but through an inherent structural advantage. Over time, coaches across the footballing landscape came to understand the profound impact of these positional advantages. Antonio Gagliardi, a former technical assistant with Juventus and the Italian national team, was one such student of the Guardiola method. Tasked with analyzing opposing defenses, Gagliardi designed tactical setups aimed at dismantling them. A prime example was Italy's approach against Belgium in the European Championship. Recognizing Belgium's rigid 5-2-3 defensive shape, Italy adjusted their formation, shifting from their usual 3-2-5 to a 3-4-3 diamond setup. This subtle change was crucial. By drawing Belgium's midfielders into wider areas, Italy created gaps between the lines. With Belgium's midfield duo occupied by Italy's wide players, Lorenzo Insigne was able to drift into space unmarked, setting the stage for his decisive goal. While the finish itself was a moment of individual brilliance, it was made possible by a carefully crafted positional advantage. This tactical framework is immensely attractive to modern coaches. It is not only highly logical, but it also offers a level of control and predictability that managers crave. By dissecting the opponent's defensive shape and strategically placing players accordingly, a team can tilt the game in their favor before the ball is even kicked. Essentially, tactics become a chess match, one where Guardiola's principles are the foundation of every strategic decision. And here's where football underwent a fundamental shift. When viewed through this lens, as a game of precision-based positioning, Guardiola's influence becomes inescapable. His doctrine of rationally occupying space and moving the ball to the space has become the default blueprint for modern football. Coaches, driven by both tactical effectiveness and job security, have largely conformed to this style. Even teams that don't dominate possession or replicate City's patience in ball circulation are still rooted in Guardiola's tactical ideology. As a result, the visual identity of football has changed. Today's matches often resemble a structured battle between a positional attacking shape and a well-organized defensive block. In response, coaches have incorporated rehearsed passing patterns, ensuring their teams can systematically dismantle opponents. Over time, this meticulous structure has led to a level of mechanization in the game. Players, drilled to execute their roles with near-perfect synchronization, sometimes resemble components in a well-oiled machine, strictly adhering to pre-planned sequences. And yes, this uniformity has undeniably diminished some of the game's unpredictability. With so many teams adhering to the same fundamental principles, football has lost a degree of spontaneity and stylistic variation. So, does this confirm that Guardiola has ruined football? Not necessarily. On one hand, it is undeniable that he laid the foundation for the modern game. His footballing ideology, deeply rooted in the teachings of Johan Cruyff, Arrigo Sacchi, and Louis van Gaal, has been widely embraced at every level of football. The resulting aesthetic may not appeal to everyone, but can Guardiola truly be blamed for the widespread adoption of his methods? This is where the debate becomes more complex. Guardiola's philosophy wasn't designed to homogenize football. It was simply an extension of his own experiences and vision. The fact that others have replicated his approach purely because of its effectiveness is beyond his control. From this perspective, it seems unfair to accuse him of orchestrating football's tactical evolution. Yet, even as I write this, that conclusion feels somewhat unsatisfying, because as I delved deeper, I discovered a far greater criticism, one that goes beyond tactics and strategy. For some, the real issue isn't that modern football lacks variety, it's that it lacks individuality. Many argue that Guardiola's meticulous system has suppressed player creativity, turning footballers into robotic cogs in a machine rather than expressive artists on the pitch. Has football, in its pursuit of tactical perfection, sacrificed the raw, instinctive brilliance that once defined the sport? That's the question we must now confront. So, did Guardiola change football for the better, or has he turned it into a cold, calculated machine? The debate rages on, but one thing is clear: football will never be the same again. But wait, what if I told you there's one tactical flaw in Guardiola's system that nobody talks about? Want to know more? Smash that subscribe button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's uncover football's biggest secrets together.